My name is Sarah from Frond Design Studios. We're a fabric design company, and we like to think about fabric in a very artistic way. So the things we do are a little bit different than what a lot of other people do. We were inspired by a piece of art we had seen hanging that someone had taken records and hooked them all together to make an art piece. And we thought, wasn't that interesting? Don't you think we could do the same thing with fabric? So what we came up with is this is our pattern vintage vinyl, and we decided to take the big LPs and make a pattern, and then to give it some movement, we just kind of hung them together. And I loved the idea of that, but I love using my Bernina. So I wanted to think of a quicker, easier way to make a project like that. I love circles, but I don't love cutting out circles. So what I decided to do is take the Bernina software, and we have an extensive record collection at home, so I took one of my husband's 45s, and I took the shape and I put it into my Bernina software. So I set it up as an applique, and then I used the contour fill to get my little lines in here so that it looks like the grooves in the record. So to make it even more fun, I decided to play with the cut work tool. So the process I went about, I used, this is Peltex 70. It's a heavyweight interfacing. It's nice, it comes in black, so I don't have to worry about any white showing through. So I took that, and then I took our fabric. This black fabric is called Contemplate. It's from our Life Goes On collection, and I like it gives a little bit of movement and is not just a plain solid black. To make it stiff, I use the Terrial Art Spray. What it does is it gives it a lot of body, and when my cut work tool goes through there, it's going to keep it from fraying out at the edges. So it gives nice body, and then we'll kind of protect that edge. So after I treated my fabric with the Terrial Art Spray, I went ahead and I fused it using whatever fusible product you need, and fused it both to the front and to the back side of my stabilizer. So then I put them in my jumbo hoop, and as you can see from here, I get 2 records out of each hooping. So after I do that, all I need to do my machine is going to go ahead and stitch. It's going to stitch the outline of my record. And I do have on the 44C foot, the cut work foot. And the great thing about that 830 is how fast it can sew for me. So these were fun. It's just going to be a piece of wall art put together. We have a music room in our house. It's going to fit just perfectly in there. But it's a nice way to think about using your fabrics, using everything for things other than quilts. So it stitched my outside line. And then it's going to go ahead and go in and stitch the inside line. Now, before this, I had taken, these are going to be my labels. So what I did is I went through the same process. I used the Terrial Art Spray and sprayed my fabric, and then again I applied the fusible web to the underside, and then I stacked up multiple layers of my fabric and used the cut work tool to cut through them, and easily I think I cut through 10 layers of fabric at a time, and it wasn't a problem. So now we're ready to do the grooves in our record, and it's great since I used that contour fill. I didn't have to take my my circle and then make another circle and another circle and another circle. It went ahead and did it for me, and then it also did the little connecting lines for me too. What I'm using here is just a regular cotton thread. It's it's just black Aurifil 50 weight from our thread collection that we did with Aurifil. And even in the bobbin, I did not thread the bobbin for embroidery because this is a two-sided project, so I want to have nice, even tension on my project. This is one of those things that's nice having this in the sewing room. If you're lucky enough to have multiple machines in the sewing room, you can set this up and it can be doing its thing while you're working on something else on the other machine. Or going for a cup of coffee. But it's really nice. My machine is stitching beautifully through this heavyweight interfacing, not having any issues. Another thing I did in playing with our software, since all of our fabric starts as an art piece, we went ahead and took one of our butterflies from our newest fabric collection and digitized it just as an outline design, but then went a step further and made them into appliques so we could use some of our blender fabrics and some of our other fabrics in here. So we're almost finished here. The next step is we're going to have to attach the labels to our project. And again, you want to remember that this is a two-sided project, so we want to have the label on the front and on the back. Okay, so once this is done stitching, we just have a little place to iron. It is important that you take the hoop off of the bed of the machine to do the ironing. You don't want to have any accidents. So I'm going to take my piece here, and then I'm just going to lay it down. I have lines on my record that show me where this goes, and then I have a handy dandy little iron. And just a little bit of time, and that fuses that into place. Then I'm going to do the same on the reverse side. And you can see I've got nice tension here. Okay, so now we have that. You want to give it just a second to cool, but then we're going to put it back in. And we've got one more set of stitching to do before we change over to that cut work tool. Another thing we've been doing with our threads, and a way to think about things a little bit differently, is we like to do a lot of thread play. So this is a new fabric from us. This is called Wing It Op Art. It's part of the Metamorphosis collection. And what we've done is taken our 50 weight threads and then just went ahead and did some thread play. A lot of times if you have customers who you want to see using their stitch regulator, it'd be a great class for an 8:30 test drive. If you wanted to have somebody who doesn't feel they're real confident in their machine stitching, in their free motion quilting, this is like giving a child a coloring book instead of giving them a blank piece of paper and say, please draw something for me. So this is kind of low pressure for them, and they're going to be very happy with the product when they're done. So that's just kind of another fun way to play with it. Okay, so now that we're done with our stitching, we're ready to remove our needle. And then this is just one of the coolest toys ever, is our Bernina Cutwork tool. So we're just going to put it in replacement of the needle, and it has that chisel on it. And the flat side's going to go to the back just like a needle. And then I'm going to make sure it's turned into the first position. And what's great is my screen tells me right here that it needs to be in the first position. So my machine is double checking. Do you have the cutwork foot on? And do you have the cutwork plate on? Kind of protecting you against yourself. That's kind of nice. Okay, so now I'm good to go. Yes, both of those are on. Okay. So what this is going to do is it's going to go ahead and cut out my record. What's really nice about the cutwork tool, when I first heard about it, I thought that it was just going to cut all the way around, and I thought, well, how's that going to work? Because it's going to fall right out. It works on an angle because the chisel is a flat surface, so we're going to go ahead and cut just that the first angle on both the inside of the record and then the outside of the record. And it's just a fun way to do this. It's a great project, you know, for class. If you're working with people with the cutwork tool, a lot of people don't really know what to do with it, and this is just a fun, easy project. These could also, you could make them a little bit smaller, use them for coasters. You could make them as trivets. It's just kind of endless, the fun things that you can do with it. So after it finishes stitching on that first cutwork section, or first cut, it'll stop, and then the machine is going to tell me to go ahead and switch to number 2, which just changes the angle of the cutwork tool. So then that's when it's going to be able to cut out the other part of my curve. Okay, so now I'm going to change to 2. And it's going to cut those for me. So I do have several of them cut out. And like I said, we're going to just kind of put them together as an art piece. So I thought a really easy way to do it is to use the button sew-on stitch on the 830 and kind of maybe do them offset a little bit. So these we set up so that they have some movement to them. We want them to be able to move a little bit. This one is double-sided as well. The front side is our Street Smarts collection, and the back side is our Rhapsody collection, which is a music-themed fabric. But this could be fun. Your records wouldn't have to be black. You could make your records whatever color you wanted. For me, it's kind of nice. It reminds me of when I was a kid and had my 45 record player. And it would be really fun to get to, on here, we went to the embroidery machine and added some fun little titles in there. So it would be really cute if you wanted to take, and you know, in the software, it's got that great arcing program, or even in your 830, you can arc your lettering so it would go around the label. That would be really, really cute. Some of the ones we have up here says Street Smarts and then the name of the fabric. This one's called One Off. Street Smarts Peace Bomb. If you wanted to put your name in there, you could, or even for like a little, make sure that you use one of them to put your label on your quilt. You could say, name your quilt, and then put your name down there. So it'll also be a great gift for, say, your child or grandchild, if you wanted to do kind of a way to celebrate their music. Put maybe some of the records of some of the names of what they like to listen to, and just kind of a nice memory piece to have for them. Maybe a great graduation alternative to that t-shirt quilt. Okay, so we have one more rotation. While that's finishing, I'll show you. This is the last one that I did. So you can see, even though I had it through the cutwork tool, it's still kind of hanging in there. So what happens is it does cut through, but it leaves a few threads there so that it doesn't fall out and into the machine while you're trying to finish your project. So to complete it, you're just going to kind of push up with your finger, and then take your scissors and just trim those remaining threads. And then there you have your record. So the pattern is going to be available from Frond for the vintage vinyl. So just another way, a fun way. We've really enjoyed being able to use the Bernina as a way to help you and your store translate the Frond fabrics.